First, though, Aston Villa are flying under Unai Emery, and it's got him dreaming of just what this season could bring. The Villa boss has made no secret of his desire to play Champions League football and even win the competition one day. Villa beat West Ham 4-1. They're up to fifth, just a point outside the top four.
Dreams always, because my dream is to win Champions League. I am going to try to do my way. But now we are fifth. They are 17th contender to be better than us in the table at the end. But of course, we are now fifth, and we are going to try face each match trying to get again our good performances and the 3 points. They are 7 teams contender in front of us. We are after 7 teams. They are Manchester City, Manchester United, Liverpool, Tottenham, Arsenal, Chelsea, and Newcastle. Top 7 teams.
Good morning, Stephen. Good morning, Sue.
Good morning.
Are we well?
Very good, you?
Very well indeed, thank you. And you should be well, Stephen, because you, at the start of the season, tipped Aston Villa to be in the top 4, and it's looking like a decent shout at the moment. They're flying.
Yeah, I think everyone wrote them off the first game of the season, losing away at Newcastle, and everyone wondered where Aston Villa would be under Unai Emery this season. Let's not forget they've lost Tyrone Mings as well. They've lost Buendia, who were sort of key to the way that Aston Villa were going to play this season.
Jacob Ramsey out as well.
Jacob Ramsey out, yeah. So when you look at the loss of players that they've had to endure, the tactics of Unai Emery and the way he's improved this team has been simply brilliant. I think they're only third to Manchester City and Arsenal in points gained since he's come into the club.
Fourth now. Liverpool are above them as well.
Yeah. Thanks, Rob.
Well, yes, just details, Stephen. Yeah. We don't want to be wrong on this
So when you
show.
look at that, that's impressive, though. Yeah. To be able to look at your manager and say, with very similar squad that he inherited, to be able to improve the players. And I think what we can say is that he's improved pretty much every player that he's worked with. I don't see really many of the players that he's worked with having a decline in the way they've performed. So that speaks volumes for the manager. So it's been a great appointment for Aston Villa. It's
one of those, Sue, isn't it, that Stephen is right there, that he's improved individual players. And you never saw or heard Unai Emery, even when he came in last season, starting by saying, well, I need to sign so-and-so and I need to do this and I need 200 million quid. It's, I'll improve what I've got. Two of the blokes behind you, great examples. Douglas Luiz absolutely loves playing at home.
Yeah, brilliant. And that's a sign of a good manager, isn't it? And a good coach that comes into a side and says, OK, I'm going to work with what I've got and I'm going to make those players better. And that's exactly what he's done. And you can see Douglas Luiz just looks revitalised. Obviously, his goal scoring, but just his all-round game, I think, has been excellent. And it was funny because I listened to Unai Emery after the game and he praised him. He said, yeah, he's done well, but he can do better. And that's the perfectionist in him. That's the manager that wants to get the best out of all these players. And like I say, Ollie Watkins, again, another player that has been key. But even in his interview after the game, he was saying, yeah, me and Diaby, we are linking up well. We are a real good creative force. But actually, it's the players behind us that are also helping this. You can see that they've got this really good, strong defensive structure, but then they've got that quality going forward as well. And that comes down to a detailed coach in Unai Emery.
As for Ollie Watkins, Stephen, he's been directly involved in 26 goals in 33 games since Unai Emery took over. Only Erling Haaland and Mo Salah have been involved in more in the Premier League in that time. Is the key, what Unai Emery said is, I want you to play in between the posts. I don't want you charging around all over the place. Yeah, a bit of pressing, but not too much.
I also think it's a changing system. I think the idea of having Diaby alongside him helps. I think Diaby naturally draws players towards him because of the dangers that he has. But what is great with Watkins now is that we so often think of him being that player who plays on the shoulder and only wants to run in behind. Now you've got Diaby who does that as well, and then Watkins comes short. They're mixing the game up, they're making it unpredictable for people now. But he still has that strength of running in behind. I think there's just a real confidence again, because he's improved his game. He feels like every time he steps on the football pitch, that he's going to score or he's going to create an opportunity. And that tells you everything about the mindset of the players. But Diaby's improved him, but he will also improve Diaby as well. So it's a great match.
And that was a real important point in the game as well, wasn't it? At 2-1, they needed to go and get that third goal, and he certainly had that quality. And I spoke about Emery with his detailed coaching, you just think, listening to Ollie Watkins, listening to the way that he spoke, he said, when I go through 1v1 with the defender there, the defender expects me to go inside. And he said, and if I go inside, it'll probably get blocked off. The fact that he little step over onto his left foot. And, you know, so they're little details, aren't they, that just improve the players that, you know, we're seeing them flourish under Emery. Who
should Harry Kane's backup be for the Euros, Stephen?
It's a great question. I think the difficulty is at the moment, I think if we were doing the squad today and we were looking at the Euros being next week, I think Ollie Watkins will definitely be that backup. But we've got to think of Tony coming back into the Brentford team, whether he then maybe signs somewhere else. We don't know what the situation's going to be with Ivan Toney. So I think it'll be those two players anyway. I think Tony will come back and go into the England squad. I really do. I think he's a brilliant player. And then it'll be those two players will be the backup, and depending on who you play against, will then sort of determine who comes onto the pitch to change a game if a game needs changing or seeing a game out.
Not Callum Wilson.
I think he'll be in the squad. I really do, but I don't think he'd be ahead of those two players. I think what Tony brings you both defensively and attacking, from an attacking point of view, his hold-up play, his goals, his penalty taking, his all-round game, I think is excellent. I think Ollie Watkins is improved immensely. I think those two are pretty much a toss of a coin, if I'm being completely honest.
So I think we can see where Villa were points-wise after 9 games last season, but Emery has become one of now only 10 managers to average more than 2 points a game with 20-plus games in the Premier League. The group he joins: Alex Ferguson, Jose Mourinho, Carlo Ancelotti, Roberto Mancini, Manuel Pellegrini, Antonio Conte, Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola, and perhaps surprisingly Avram Grant as well. But that's some company he's in, isn't it? And with Villa rather than Chelsea or Manchester City or Manchester United. Yeah,
it's some company. And Stephen mentioned it earlier in terms of when he come in as well, the injuries that he's had to those key players, you know, in Mings, Buendia, obviously Ramsey as well, who's key to the way that they play. He's come in, he's got this group of players playing to the best of their ability. They've got a structure that they play behind. The fans are loving. He keeps speaking about this connection with the fans, and that's important to him. And obviously 11 home wins always helps that, doesn't it? But the fans are right behind what he's doing and what he's trying to achieve, and the fact that, yes, he wants to finish as high as they possibly can. I think being in and amongst those sort of greats is brilliant.
I think there's a big thing in also, when you play in front of your fans, you have to understand what your manager's trying to achieve. This feeling of when the two centre-backs get the ball and they almost invite pressure onto themselves. And it was, at first, it was like, well, why is this so slow? What is the process here? When they actually see the results coming off the back of that now, and they see the intensity which Aston Villa play with once them players are drawn in, and then they see the attacking threat that Villa have got, they understand that they've got a quality manager. And I think that's also the other side of it, is there's a real patience amongst the fans now to trust the manager. Sometimes you don't get that with managers, but he's got that with the fans.
It's also about the man management as well, isn't it? The impact of the subs coming off the bench, that they come on and they also make a difference. So it's making sure that everybody's happy. They've got that real sort of togetherness within the squad, and he's able to do that. So tactically brilliant on the pitch, but also he's keeping a real group performing at a really high level, whether you're on the bench or whether you're starting.
Stephen thinks they can make the Champions League, Sue, do you?
At the moment, yeah, why not? At the start of the season, I probably wouldn't have said that like Stephen. He was quite bold with his opinions, but the way that they're performing and what I'm watching, why not?
What about West Ham then? They look like might get something out of the game when that Jarrod Bowen deflected goal went in, but it is no win in 2 now for David Moyes and his team.
We've done a lot of really good things this season so far. Today wasn't so good. We weren't resilient when we had to be defensively, but I think more importantly, nearly every ball we played in and around the box was the wrong decision, the wrong choice. We couldn't pick MD out, and it led to us hardly creating enough opportunities to score. We got back in the game. All credit to lads kept fighting to get back in, and it looked as if we were the team in ascendancy at the 2-1. But a sort of loose diagonal pass was cut out by Mo, and it bounced to McGinn, who played in Watkins, and they punished us really quickly. So that put the game just a bit beyond our reach at that time.
As for West Ham then, Steve, out of sorts, out of characters, they've untypically sort of ragged. They're usually so well organised under David Moyes.
Yeah, it was very surprising. I think what David Moyes said there, though, was very true, that they got punished by Aston Villa. They are clinical at the moment, Aston Villa, given an opportunity. I think that goes again to an understanding of how Unai Emery wants Aston Villa to play, to capitalise on mistakes that they made. And it's almost lulling you into that false sense of security that you're safe in a game, but then at any opportunity you can be punished straight away. So I think you look at West Ham and we say, yes, they were poor, but also how good Villa are on the break and how clinical they can be. But I still think this is an Aston Villa, a West Ham team that is getting to know each other. I think there's been early signs which have been very, very promising. I think they're a better team than they were last season. I think they'll continue to improve, but they will have minor setbacks like this where, listen, Aston Villa got thumped the first game of the season against a good Newcastle team. It does happen. It's how you react to that, how you bounce back from it and understand what your vulnerabilities are, what your weaknesses are, and how you can be punished in the Premier League.
Do you think they need to sort out his contract, David Moyes? I think he was asked about it last week. It ends again, end of the season. I mean, he delivered a trophy there. Not many managers have done that for West Ham. It needs to be extended, does it not?
I think so. And, you know, again, I was listening to him talking about that when he was asked the questions, and he was sort of just a little bit, he was sort of making a joke about it, wasn't he? Saying, oh, well, I'm young enough to sign a long contract like Jarrod Bowen. So, yeah, I think so. But I think he's obviously just waiting. He's just sort of biding his time. But, of course, I think winning the trophy last season, you know, the Europa Conference was brilliant for West Ham, brilliant for the fans, for him. And you can see that they've certainly taken a lot of that form into the season. I just think yesterday they just weren't quite at it. I think defensively they give Aston Villa too much space and beyond. And then particularly in the first half, I felt like they were getting into decent positions, but maybe just not finding that final pass or that quality finish or whatever that might be in the final third. So I think they'll certainly reflect on that and say, well, against an Aston Villa side, a good quality team like that, they will punish you.